rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, children of the Lord. That's what my mama used to say to her 6 children, getting them up for school. But the song really goes with the energy. Rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, soldiers of the Lord. Why? Because he told me to rise. He gave us his breath that we inhale his love and exhale his love so that we can this day be of service to him by being of service to others. That's our assignment for this day that we will never ever see again. And I'm so glad that we give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, but most importantly, the acknowledgement. He doesn't need it, but he appreciates it. Huh? The acknowledgement. So I introduce him and acknowledge him before I introduce and acknowledge myself. Yes, I'm Edwina B., Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, your free to hope transformational speaker, spiritual coach, spiritual consultant. Free stands for From Recovery, Emerge Enlightened. From recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Those are the acronyms for my company, Free to Hope. And as a result of that, I am inviting you on April the 20th and the 27th to my Free to Hope free virtual presentation as I outline my journey to total transparency and authenticity. Don't let this makeup fool you. Trust me. I am honoring my heritage and my culture. I am a queen. But most importantly, I'm a child of God. And even more important, I don't need the mask. Those masks I took off 33 plus years ago while underneath a parked car. And if you see any of my previous presentations, you'll see I come on with the different wigs and a face full of makeup, and I got my dentures in. But when the spirit hits me and I want to share with you what transparency and authenticity really looks like, I snatch off that wig, I wipe off this makeup, and I even take out my dentures. Then I say, how you like me now? Mm-hmm. Right? So with having a 14-year addiction that ended on February the 23rd of 1990, but on February the 22nd of 1990, my God, who I did not know, met me underneath a parked car. Yes, he did. Let me see if I can get this light off here. Met me underneath a parked car, 3 o'clock in the morning, after getting high and doing all kinds of sexual favors with my own stepson, both of us the age of 34. He transformed into a violent person. I transformed to a person who feared for her life. And my God, I'll tell you more about it, met me, delivered me, and prepared me from underneath a parked car where I sought refuge. Okay? And so that's why I can also share with you how I had flashbacks of the course of my life. I was a co-captain of the cheerleader team, vice president of my class, right? Voted 1, 2 most likely to succeed, deemed the smartest of my parents, 6 kids. Children admired and respected me, but I'm underneath a parked car. Isn't that something? I can smile now because I've been set free. From recovery, I emerged empowered and enlightened to only give hope to others. Okay. And so on the 20th and or the 27th, you can attend both from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Saving Times, I will give you the orientation, the building of the foundation of how I navigate to becoming totally transparent and totally authentic. I will share with you the services, the networks, the pathways, right? And the foundation to be set free, to identify your passion so that you can give purpose and fulfill purpose by sharing your experience, your strength, your hope, your wisdom, and your perspective with other people to give them hope that they too can be set free. Why? Because utilizing the 12 spiritual principles of Alcoholics Anonymous for 33 plus years, incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family, and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. Girl, boy, I am on fire. I don't represent none of them, though, but I do represent the God who met me underneath that park car, delivered me, and prepared me to sit before you. Okay? So send me your email. Email me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com. It's right here on the screen. Email me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com so I can send you the link. All right. So we can get the beginning, the orientation of how to build the foundation to transparency and authenticity. Okay. All right. So now I want to also share with you how my journey to total transparency and authenticity has been paved by 12 spiritual principles and recently the 5 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make any assumptions. Always do your best. And 5, be skeptical, but learn to listen. And then with the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, she turned her pain into passion and was able to be inducted into the billion-dollar industry of just sharing her story, motivating and encouraging other women to do the same thing. And in a short period of time, by using spiritual principles of her choice that she uses, may be different from mine, but if they're spiritual in nature, it works. To be able to touch and guide and direct women by giving of herself and her wisdom and knowledge of how to build, increase your passion for the sole purpose of touching somebody else. Her motto is, if you didn't come from a wealthy family, let a wealthy family come to you. So just like her, I am sharing with you what she shared with me and hundreds of other women, that we can, we will be set free from recovery, emerge enlightened and empowered to give others hope, help others prosper equally. Okay, so I'll share more about that later because I want to go to our, I got a few minutes, okay? Okay. So let me share with you, right, that my goal after 33 plus years in practicing and utilizing the spiritual principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, in our literature, it says that all human beings are ill to some extent. And through my co-occurring disorders of mental illness and chemical dependency, right, I endured a lot. Others endured even the more. And some of us must die in order for some of us to live. That may sound harsh, but it is the truth. I've learned that the sooner I tell myself the truth, the sooner I can get better. The longer I keep lying to myself, I may never get better. So, removing the mask that was taken away underneath that parked car 33 plus years ago, only weighed 90 pounds, face all sunken in, dark circles around my eyes, hair all short and matted. I only had a few teeth. And so the way I was then is the way I choose to be now, in the sense of keeping that mask removed physically. And when I began to practice that on a daily basis through the 12 spiritual principles, I use that same analogy to go inside and begin to identify those things that I've been trying to conceal. I need to reveal by applying the remove the mask analogy so that I can heal. Yes. But underneath that parked car, when I had all these flashbacks of what I could have been, what I hoped to be, but then with the co-occurring disorders of mental illness and substance abuse, alcoholism, drug addiction, even prostitution, my life spiraled down quickly when I made the decision to have an abortion at the age of 23 because I got pregnant by someone that I didn't want the world to know, neither him, because of my reputation. I committed murder. And I said, then whatever happens to me, I will deserve. So, yes, I've been raped several times, passed around like a bucket, spit on, called all kinds of names. I even robbed dead bodies, stepped over dead bodies, didn't call the cops. Mm-hmm. Homeboy said, B, do me, but do my boys too. If you don't do it right, I'm going to sick these dogs on you. You're either going to yield or you're going to die. Mm-hmm. Yes, I tried to commit suicide several times. Mm-hmm. Jumped in and out of cars to turn tricks. Caught a lot of STDs. One which gave me cervical cancer. By the grace of God, I've been healed. 33 plus years later. So you see, I can smile. I can rejoice because I've been set free. And so, with these 12 spiritual principles that they say all human beings can use, because all human beings are ill to some extent, my friend Miguel Pozo says we want to offer the 12 spiritual principles of life. All you have to do is substitute what your addiction is with alcohol, sex, money, gambling, working, and apply those 12 spiritual principles, you will be set free. Now, in order for me to incorporate the five agreements, I must, like I did with the 12 spiritual principles, practice, 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 practice through the fourth step inventory that we'll talk about today, and the label of domestication given to people, myself, by the Ruiz families, five agreements, and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. I've been able to unravel that onion with the help of others. You know how many layers are on an onion? Woo, woo. But guess what? If I endured 14 years of mental illness and addiction, I can endure the more to be healed by the Creator and who He has placed in my life, who I choose to follow because I don't want to go back underneath that parked car. So when you saw that book, that was my journal entries for the first 4 years in my recovery, leaving that world of addiction, not knowing what the future holds, but staying in the present. And so with the five agreements, be impeccable with your word, Edwina. There's nothing wrong with you. You need to find out what happened to you. Edwina, don't take anything personally. Why? Because it is the opinions of other people that have their own story. So don't take it anything personally. Edwina, don't even make assumptions. Most of the time, you're making a butthole out of you and me, right? So don't make any assumptions. I'm not afraid to ask the questions. I like to nip things in the bud. Yes, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So if I don't make any assumptions, I will get the answers, whether they're truthful or not from the other person. That's not my concern, which is why the fourth agreement, right? I will always do my best. If I remain impeccable with my word, don't take anything personally, don't make any assumptions, I will always do my best. And the fifth agreement says, be skeptical, but learn to listen. Learn to listen. Most of us don't listen. I said us, right? That includes me. And so through my 33 plus years of embracing, internalizing, conducting surgery, assessing, evaluating, and practicing these 12 spiritual principles, along with the 5 agreements, and now the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. Oh, world, watch out. I'm coming out. Not that way, but guess what? He delivered me from that too. I told y'all I'm transparent and authentic. Yes. So I'm coming out in the sense that what I've been doing for 33 plus years, I want to present once again to the world, but in a different format, right? So I want to contact as many rehabs and detoxification programs, treatment facilities to have myself invited as their keynote speaker so that I can give my experience, my strength, and hope to those that they are serving for free. But I want them to pay for it. And guess what? I believe, I present, and guess what? I have the proof from my own experience of the journey to transparency and authenticity has worked for me to accept my co-occurring diseases, but also to utilize the treatment modalities that are available, and I believe that are spiritual in nature. Okay. And so I may invite myself to be their spiritual coach or consultant. So that's why I can leave my wealth to my family. And not only that, I can utilize the funds to grow even the more my company called Free to Hope. So if you need a transformational speaker, a spiritual coach or consultant, I am your person. Why? Because I am not intimidated by any man. And my goal is to set other people free by giving them the information that has been given to me, but using it. And now with the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, the blueprint, the mastery, right? Business blueprint, right? If I didn't come from a wealthy family can come from me. So call me. But remember also to email me for my free virtual presentation on April the 20th and the 27th so that you can receive the orientation on building the foundation of how to achieve freedom. Okay, let's get to our topic today. Alrighty then. Open up your spiritual ears, your spiritual eyes, and let's get the stepping. Okay. Let me take a drink, a coffee. I need to also say that while underneath that parked car, I did, or something did, went deep inside me, and these words came out. whoever they say you are, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. As you can see, I was chosen to do what I'm doing right now because I didn't know him personally. I was taught he was a punishing God, but I found out differently by being open minded, honest, and willing to go back to my history and found out what happened to me, not what's wrong with me. So that's why I can present to you the topic for the day, April the 11th, my perspective of the AA Daily Reflections, a word to drop, blame, incorporating the 5 agreements and the transformational teachings. Okay, so open up your ears, open up your eyes, and let's dissect this bad boy. All right, here we go. Okay, let's Here we go. All right, let me move this out the way. It says here. This is a quote from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions from page 47 from our co-founders. It says, to see how erratic emotions victimized us often took a long time. We could perceive them quickly in others, but only slowly in ourselves. First of all, we had to admit that we had many of these defects, even though such disclosures were painful and humiliating. Where other people were concerned, we had to drop the word blame from our speech and thought. The person in recovery shares his perspective. When I did my 4th step, following the Big Book guidelines, I noticed that my grudge list was filled with prejudices and my blaming others for my not being able to succeed and to live up to my potential. I also discovered I felt different because I was Black. As I continued to work on the steps, I learned that I learned that I always had drunk to rid myself of those feelings. It was only when I sobered up and worked on my inventory that I could no longer blame anyone. Okay, so let's dissect this, all right? And so think about it, all right? Um, who are you blaming? I'm asking you, who are you blaming? Who are you blaming? Your parents, your community, the world, society, God? Mm-hmm. Who are you blaming for what you turned out to be, how you did not achieve this or achieve that? In other words, who are you blaming? Who's at fault in your perspective? Mm-hmm. Who's at fault? Who did it to you? Yeah, okay. Who are you blaming? Hmm? And so you see the topic, a word, right? To drop is the word blame. So are you open-minded enough right now to spiritually listen as we dissect this baby? Because if you're not, you just might as well just, I don't know. But if you want to be set free from recovery, emerge enlightened and empowered to receive hope, but more importantly, to give hope. So let's start there. Become open-minded just for a few minutes. And let's drop the word blame. Okay? All right. So it continues to say, right? All right. To see how erratic emotions victimize us often took a long time. To see how erratic emotions victimized us as a result of our emotions. Mm-hmm. And, there's some debate about feelings and emotions and how they're interrelated, right? But here it says the erratic emotions. Hmm? The erratic emotions, what? Victimize us often took a long time. To see how erratic emotions victimize us often took a long time. We could perceive them quickly in others, but only slowly in ourselves. So that's like you throwing rocks, right? You cleaning off somebody else's side of the street. But if you throwing the rock, there must be something going on with you too, for that situation or that person to make you want to throw a rock, to make you want to clean off their side of the street. That's what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's decipher this some more. It says here, first of all, we had to admit that we had many of these defects, even though such disclosures were painful and humiliating. They say often when somebody irritates us or bothers us or make us, whatever, we really see ourselves in them, truth be told. Because as human beings, we all have the same character defects. We do. And that's why we are quick to see them in others, but slow to see them in ourselves. Okay? All right. And so let's go back to what they were saying here. Okay. And then he goes on to say, where other peoples were concerned, we had to drop the word blame from our speech and our thought. That's similar to what the Ruiz family talks about in the first agreement. Be impeccable with your word, meaning stop sinning against yourself and stop sinning against others with your word. Okay. So I need to, right, stop blaming others, and I will learn to even stop blaming myself. Oh, yes. Yes. See, when you get into the fourth step inventory and you go back in your history, like the Ruiz family talks about, the domestication process, you will see that there's nothing wrong with you, but something did happen to you. And once you discover what happened, you will have a change in your perspective. Okay. So let's go here. And he says, right, the person in recovery, when I did my fourth step following the big book guidelines, I noticed that my grudge list was filled with my prejudices and my blaming others for me not being able to succeed and to live up to my potential. So guess what? If you heard what he said, right? This is another reason why I'm able to be transparent and authentic, right? I did, like he did, his fourth step inventory according to the big book guidelines. Okay. And an inventory is similar to taking an inventory in a store. But now we're taking an inventory of ourselves to find out where our God given natural instincts begin to far exceed their intended purpose. That is the point where our instincts, right, have become defective because we're being greedy, we're being lustful, we're being selfish, we're being self-centered, right? So you're only going to find that out if you utilize and write down your inventory based on the guidelines. Help, okay? And so here they also say, let's go here, right? I also discovered I felt different because I was Black. Okay. Now, many of us have that blaming attitude because we're Black, we're white, we're gay, we're straight, we're short, we're fat. Okay, you get my drift. So most of us in a society of human beings, my goodness, look at all the different flowers. Look at all the different birds. Look at all the different species. Are you kidding me? So, that's what the domestic occasion did to us, right? We believed that we were the same, should be the same, and if not, we felt different, and therefore we were victimized by emotions and so forth, which is why a lot of us drank. All right, so let's go. I got another minute, right? Then he says here, right? As I continue to work on this step, I learned that I always drunk to rid myself of those feelings. See, he continued to do the step work. He continued to look at what happened, where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, belief systems were first formulated, that perpetuated itself up until even now. Okay. And so he continued to do the step. And so he realized that people didn't need to change. He need to have the desire to change, and the process would change him. Okay. All right. Y'all know I got to go to my meeting in a few minutes. Okay. And so he says here, it was only when I sobered up and worked on my inventory that I could no longer blame anyone. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Oh my God, it just brings tears to my eyes because it's freedom. It's freedom. Doing the work right on yourself. It's like reading your own book, right? Right? Guess what? You're only reading a portion of it because the last portion has yet to be written. And when you embark on your knee bowing experience, and you will confess with your tongue that he is, because Donald Lawrence says we are not natural beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings encased in walking this natural experience here on earth called life. So when we learn spirituals and apply them to all earthly matters, we will no longer be victimized by our emotions. In other words, we will be set free and wear the world like a loose garment. The domestication that takes place through our lives has to be learned and unlearned so that we can learn the spiritual truth. And guess what? It's not outside of us, it's inside of us. All right? So if it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow, I'll be here. Hope you will be too. But right now, I'm going to my meeting. Be blessed. Tune in on April the 20th and the 27th. Email me so that we can share how the journey to transparency and authenticity can set us free from recovery, emerge empowered and enlightened to give hope to others, help others prosper equally.